Good afternoon, Becky.
Hello.
Hello again. How have you been?
I've been really well. How are you?
Good, thanks. I'm very excited to have you back today because this, I think, is the most, I would almost say, fun part of our sessions. Because before we've talked about, where your problem areas are, and we brainstormed about what would work for you to maybe resolve those areas, and now we actually get to form some solid strategies that you can put into action to help you reach the goal that you want. So if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, your goal is to backpack 50 miles over spring break, which is in April of next year? March?
March.
Okay.
March.
So backpack 50 miles at one time in March of 2017. Okay. So first of all, what has your goal been in the past? Have you had this goal before? Or
Well, I backpacked just shy of 30, and I did that this year, and it was great. But it was also summertime, so it was a little easier to prep. So this one will be during the school year. And it's almost twice as long as what I've done before.
okay.
So, similar things, but not to the extent.
Okay, so it's increased miles during a different time of year, and we're trying to prepare for this during another different time of year that might be a little more, create some more obstacles for you. So I think right now it's really important that when we're strategizing, we really set some kind of concrete guidelines or concrete mini goals per se to help you reach your big goal. So if you feel like 50 goals is realistic, which it sounds like you feel like that's a realistic goal for you,
I think
since
so.
you did 30 last year, then we'll start from there. Are there any individuals or groups that would be able to help you keep you motivated on your journey to reaching your goal?
Yeah, my boyfriend will, because that's who I backpack with. So once it gets closer, we start doing some small trips together.
Okay.
But they're still pretty small. They're max 15 miles, so
Okay.
the endurance part isn't quite there. But
Okay.
there's at least that. And sometimes, we'll probably do that. I probably just need to plan more of those, though.
Okay.
So
how many times a week would you like to try to do that with Will? Or how many times a week are you going to do that?
I would like to do, time-wise, I probably couldn't do a 15-mile backpacking trip every week, but I would like to be hiking at least 10 miles once to twice a week
Okay.
for the hiking aspect.
Okay. So we're going to hike 10 miles a week until spring break.
Well, yeah. I guess, yes. So maybe, I feel like maybe not right off the bat, maybe, because sometimes my knee gets funky. So,
Okay.
Maybe I should start a little bit smaller before then. So I guess, just like this month, maybe keep it at 6, 7, and that's usually fine. But then maybe increase with some incline and, then be consistently doing 10 from December on.
Okay.
Just to kind of ease in.
So since we're getting close to the end of October, so say starting in November. So starting in November, we are going to, or you and Will are going to, hike 6 or 7 miles a week on flat surface.
We could probably bump it up from a flat surface.
Okay.
And I could definitely do smaller hikes too. A couple mile hikes, I could definitely squeeze those in. But I want like the minimum of 6 or 7 on one hike on the weekends.
So 6 to 7 miles.
And I could make that happen.
Once a week through the month of November.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And then we will slowly increase that over the next several months. So then in December, you will do 10 miles a week. Does that sound like it's realistic with incline?
Yeah. There might be a couple of exceptions with holidays. But just because of the timing. But otherwise, it could dip down maybe around the holidays, and then I could probably push an increase after that, as long as I'm scheduling it out in advance.
Okay. And you have gear to go in the snow? Or is that going to prevent you from achieving that?
Yeah, so I have most of the gear. I guess right now though, for my hiking gear is totally fine. I could probably use a few other layers though, just because sometimes I get bad about going if I didn't get enough laundry done in time. So I could use a couple more base layers for wintertime. And my boots are good and awesome for the hiking, but I do know that my knee doesn't like my tennis shoes, so I do see that that's probably something I need to be purchasing.
So, if I may suggest, if those could be potential obstacles that we're seeing in December even, would getting all of these items ahead of time, say in October, is getting yourself fully prepared to start in November, is that going to help your success in reaching our ultimate goal? Should that be part of our plan and make that
I just need
like
to
a
budget
timed
it. So yes, I mean, and I do have the money right now, so it's probably better that I do it sooner, because if I wait a month and a half, and speaking of holidays, then money gets tighter and it's the end of the semester, so now would be the time for me to invest, I guess.
Okay.
Which I'd like to, I just put it off.
Yes.
I get indecisive and don't know what to buy. So yeah, but I mean, I could do that if I see the progression of the hike, so that would make sense. I could make that happen.
So, our time frame. We're just going to the end of the year so far. We are going to get some new equipment. We are going to start with hikes in November once a week for 6 to 7 miles a week.
Mm-hmm.
And increase the incline in December. And have 10 miles a week with an increased incline. So now we're in November, or we're in January.
Mm-hmm.
So January, you still have your equipment, and we're going to increase the mileage in January to 10 miles, 15 miles.
I would be comfortable with going further, as long as just kind of staging through December is fine. I would be really pleased with a higher incline come January, and I really like doing Stanley Hot Springs, and that's a really good one to do in January. That's when I've gone before, and that's like 16, and so I could put that as like almost this halfway point, I would think. And I've kind of thought about that a little bit before, like, okay, that's not really halfway. I have more to go after that, but sort of just because with not hiking as much lately, that would kind of give me time to catch up, and then I'll be stronger. So I would like to tack on and really increase. At least, I'd like to do a couple 30s by February.
Okay.
And just make sure my knee is checked in. I guess I'm just scared of not going long enough and having my knee freak out during 50.
Okay.
So
we're going to do a couple 30s, but in the meantime, in January, we are potentially increasing it to about 16 or so miles, maybe 20, but throwing in a couple 30-mile hikes in between.
Yeah, probably by early February, I would want to be doing my first 30.
Early February. Okay.
Yeah.
And then
I have to think of when spring break is. When's my 40 going to come in?
Okay. So that's where we go back to, do you feel like starting in October, do you feel like you're going to be prepared for your ultimate goal in March? Or should we talk about other strategies?
Yes. Yeah, no, yes, I do. It's probably the piece that is probably the most difficult for me, because that's really feasible to me to do that, and that makes sense for my body and just knowing where I'm at, and timing wise. I just need to plan it. I mean, realistically, the thing that I think would connect is writing it down and writing those dates in my calendar. So if I could do that off the bat and schedule homework around it and really allow that time slot, then that can happen.
Okay. So should we try that now? Should I have you my?
Yes.
I will give you the notepad.
Luckily, I brought my planner because.
And I want you to
schedule our next appointment.
Yes. So I want you to write down when your plan, what the plan is going to be for these.
Okay.
For your week.
Okay.
So that we can.
So I will probably start with the next couple of Sundays, which those ones. Those are going to be the 10. Let's see, now I have to chart it out. Okay, perfect. So that's 10. And then for November, there's going to be 4 or 5 weekends, but I'm okay. I feel like it'd be more realistic if I take Thanksgiving off.
Okay.
And so then at least I would say 3 is going to be realistic for that month. So the first 3 weekends of November would probably be the ones I would go.
Okay.
December, kind of same thing with the holidays. And I feel like 3 is reasonable, which that's good because then it actually pushes me to do more miles on those if I'm admitting that there's going to be weekends I'm taking off.
Okay.
So
I think right now it sounds like I think we'll stop at December, and when we meet next week, we will go into further how we're going to strategize for the rest, the second half per se, as you mentioned, the halfway point, and see where we're at as far as meeting our mini goals and getting prepared is what it sounds like, is that we need to write it in the planner and get the items that we need to do it and go from there. So I think that's where
Awesome.
we'll start at next session.
awesome. This is exciting. Thank you.
You're welcome.